Hey, what's up, folks? Anybody out there? I see the Buckster maybe is out there. Got 5 people. You guys hear me okay? Let me know. Hear my voice okay? And my guitar? Let's adjust this a little bit. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Okay, so I guess you can hear my guitar and my vocal. What's up, Mike Smith? What's up, Buckster? What's up, AZDH 85224? That's a hard name to say. But anyway, thanks for coming in, folks. Okay, balance is good. Cool, appreciate it. Well, welcome back to Learning with Line 6, you guys. So today I'm just going to kind of do a little bit more of a deeper dive into a preset that I kind of shared once before when I was doing kind of a demo of the overall 3.5 update in Helix. And I just think this is a cool preset, so I'm going to share it and talk about it a little bit. So let's just get right to it. This preset I have named Twin Metal Guitars, and I'm not sure if it translates well over your, whatever computer. I've got direct audio, but a lot of times my microphone is louder than the direct audio. So guys, tell me if you hear it now. Hopefully that wasn't muted, but I'm sure somebody will let me know, because it's kind of important to hear both channels or both sides of this stereo spread that I have going. Buckster says sounds great. Okay, cool, awesome. I wasn't sure. Sometimes StreamYard is tripping. So let's talk about this preset. I'm going to pull up the Helix editor so you can see what we got going on here. Now, the 3.5 update is crucial to this. So let me explain why. Okay, so I kind of built this off of a template that I read about. I was just doing some research. I got on this old school Metallica kick a while back, and I was just kind of wanting to make a preset with the new update that, since this new update had some new potential that we didn't have in the past, I wanted to get something good and heavy going and just kind of, just create the ultimate heavy metal rig for one guitar player. So I did some reading up on, I think it was the Master of Puppets album that I kind of used as a template. And if I can remember correctly, it's been a while since I read up on this, but everything was really dry and tight, and like no reverb was kind of one of the guidelines they were using in the studio. Now, of course, if you listen to that album, there is like reverb, but I think it's more like on the drums and maybe like the lead guitar. But the rhythm guitars are pretty chunky and tight and dry, which is what we like for metal. And it only took me about 30 years to figure that out, because I'm still a big fan of reverb. So what I did, I guess I'll come back to the reverb thing, but that's one thing I read about. And then something else I read about was just the mics that they used, mic placement, etc. And as you can see I've got 2 separate amp and cab setups going here. And there's one going left, one going right. Now, what you can do with 3.5, for those of you that don't already know, I'd be willing to bet most of you probably already know this, but you can actually use multiple mics on one cab. So if you see right here, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but if you look at the the menu, the speaker menu where it says dual right here, you'll notice this link is connected. And if I click it, it disconnects that link. Now, when you disconnect it like that, that means you're essentially using two separate cabinets, and you can mix and match them however you want. So if you connect them, it's essentially you're using one cabinet with two different mics. So what I wanted to do was use two completely different amps altogether and have as many mics going as I could, because I believe when I was reading up on what they did in the studio, they just took a handful of dynamic mics and just put them all over the room, because they weren't using reverb, but they still needed to get a bit of room noise. And room noise is something else that we have in this new update. We have the potential to create like a virtual room noise. So I just did all the stuff on this. The top amp in my setup here, Path 2A, is the Cali rectifier, a good old Mesa Boogie sound, okay? And I've got that going to a 4x12 cabinet, and the way this is set up, it's like one 4x12 cabinet. Now, the first mic is a 57 dynamic, and I've got it right in front of it. And then the second one is a 160 ribbon mic, and as you can see, I've got it kind of backed away from the cabinet and closer to the edge of the speaker cone. So that way, you know, it's like we're capturing different nuances of the same cabinet. So that's what's going on with the Mesa Boogie. And now let's look down below. I have a good old Marshall, or a Brit 2204, which this is a Marshall. And I'll talk about the amp settings in a minute. But moving down, I've got the 4x12 Brit V30 speaker cabinet. Once again, the link is connected, so we have one cabinet with multiple mics. The first mic is this 160 ribbon, and I've got it off on the 45-degree angle, and it's real close to the center of the speaker there. And the second one is also at a 45-degree angle, and that's a 57 dynamic. So, you know, I've got dynamic mics, and I'm cheating a little bit because I'm using some ribbon mics and stuff, but ribbon mics just sound really good for guitar. They just capture nice subtleties of a guitar amp. So altogether we have 4 mics. So what I'm trying to do here is create a virtual James Hetfield and a virtual Kirk Hammett, which really, I guess, if you're thinking about rhythm tracks, it's all James Hetfield, right? So I've created a virtual James Hetfield, but for live purposes, it would be James and Kirk. Now, what else I read about in this in my research was that they used a graphic EQ in front of both the amps to kind of help out to achieve that scooped out sound. And as you can see, this bad boy is scooped. Okay, we've got basically a smiley face going on here, and it's super chunky. And then I went and used a couple of overdrive pedals that are sort of common in Metallica stuff. I've got a Tube Screamer, or the Scream 808, in front of my Mesa Boogie, and then I've got a good old Rat, or the Vermin, I guess, in front of the Marshall. Now let's just check out these amp settings a little bit. The Cali rectifier, I kind of went with the traditional settings that are recommended for these Mesa Boogie amps like this. So as you can see, it's kind of a scoop going on there too. Mid-range is at 4, bass and treble is at 7. I don't normally do this personally, just for my own kind of sound that I prefer. This is just something I did trying to get the ultimate thrash metal sound, and it's not just thrash metal, it's just a metal sound altogether. But it's scooped out, it's pretty chunky. Now, moving down here to the Marshall, it's still kind of scooped, but I've got a little bit of an emphasis on the treble. So that just kind of gives it a little more bite, you know, because the the Mesa Boogie is so chunky that I wanted to kind of bring out a little more. And you know, Marshalls to me naturally sound a little more mid-rangey than a Mesa Boogie. So it's a good blend. And then I just put a touch more treble on that bad boy. And of course, you know, the starter recipe for Marshall is just to put everything on 10, right? That's kind of what you read about in a lot of books and stuff. So I started everything on 10 and then just adjusted it from there. And I did bring the sag down. The sag here is set to 2. And let me see, I can't remember what I did. I think I brought the sag down on the Mesa Boogie as well. Yep, right here. So they're both set to 2. So we have a low sag, which, you know, sag is essentially tube compression. So this is just getting a tighter response out of the amp for, you know, these really fast. Just less tube compression. And that's kind of giving you just a tighter response. So that's the idea of turning the sag down like that. And let's see, the drive on the Marshall here is set to 8, or 8.1 to be exact. So the drive is set pretty high on both of these, and then 7 on the Mesa Boogie. And then right now I've got both of the overdrive pedals turned on. Now in this preset, I put the overdrive pedals on a switch so you can turn them off if you want to. In fact, I'm going to turn everything off right now. It's gonna sound a lot different, but right now this is no overdrive pedal. Really tight, chunky. I mean, that's all the distortion you need, really. Yeah, that's good and chunky sounding. I like that. Now when I turn those drives on, tell the drives do add a lot more bite and just crunch and everything to it. So when you're going into lead mode, you do have that switch there to turn both drive pedals on. They're both connected to one pedal. Yes, I agree, Mike. It does thicken up nicely. I don't think clipping is what you're hearing, although I don't know, maybe clipping on your end because it's not clipping here. I think what you may be hearing, I'm going to talk about what you may be hearing. But then again, I don't know. Maybe it is clipping on your end. If anybody else thinks it's clipping, let me know. It's not clipping on mine. But there's some other stuff going on here. Now, when it comes back to the subject of room sound, I have some good old reverb put on here. And you'll notice on both amps, I have the dynamic ambience reverb. And one of them is set to 8, like the room size is set to 8 meters, and the room size on the other one is set to 12 meters. But now, it's not like a super wet, lush sounding reverb. When I turn this room sound on, so here's no room sound. It's pretty much just dry, like you're right there. Now, when I turn the room sound on, you just get like some room sound added to the mics. It's not a real saturated delay, reverb, certainly no delay. But it's just got like an ambience that you would get when you have mics placed, like, you know, if you have a couple of mics way back in the studio. And just mics all over a big room. And that's what I read, that they actually did that when they were recording the album, just to get some ambient guitar sounds. I don't know if ambient is the right word to use there. But just some room sound to give it some depth and dynamics. So I put that in there. And there's some of that on both amps. And you can turn that on or off. The pedal just says room sound. Or the foot switch that I put on there, I labeled it as room sound. Now, I do have a delay pedal on here, but I don't remember if I saved that in the original. Yeah, and there's like, you can't even hear it. It's not doing anything. Oh, I just remembered what that is. Okay. It's not actually a delay. That's the secret ingredient that I'm going to talk about. So, sorry, I can't remember how to build my own preset. So let's talk about that. This delay box right here. The pedal or the foot switch that this delay is put on, it says Twin Sim or Twin Simulator. So this is what creates the effect of two guitars, okay? This is a simple delay pedal, or the simple delay pedal, and it's only on one, it's on the Mesa Boogie, or path 2A. It really doesn't matter which path you wanted to put it on. You can put it on either one because it is only set to 30 milliseconds, and it's set to 10% feedback and 100% mix, okay? Which I guess you can see right there. So when I turn this on, that little bit of delay is going to give it just enough imperfection to sound human, like there are two people playing guitar. Now sometimes people do this in the studio anyway, as a way to thicken up guitar sounds. Traditionally, at least with heavy metal and stuff, you got to double the guitars at least to thicken them up, and it's like the human imperfection is what gives it the thickened, heavy sound. When I turn that simulator off, it just sounds like one person playing through, a couple of amps at the same time in stereo. But when I turn that on, that little bit of a delay, now it's almost like a chorus, but it's so close that it doesn't sound sloppy. It just sounds like there's freaking two guitars going on. So hopefully you can tell the difference when let me do it again without the twin sim. Now with the twin sim. Sounds like two guys that are joined at the wrist. I love it. I think it's really cool. And I knew about this trick a long time ago. I just never have tried to use it in anything personally. But once we got the ability to use all these different mics and the new cab updates, I just kind of went wild building this preset. So yeah, Mike had a interesting comment. I could see using the preset on two tracks, panned hard left and right, and that might save me tracking all my guitars maybe. Yeah, I think so, because now you have to remember it's not going to sound like four guitars, but it is going to sound like two. It sounds like two guitars automatically, and that's really. I think that's all you need. I don't know. Did I experiment with the double take on this any? No, I did not. So, but you can. There is one other cool thing in this preset that I did want to mention that I put in here, and this is I think this is super cool. You'll notice if you download the preset. Let's see. If you download the preset, you'll notice that one of the foot switches says left side kill. So it's a kill switch. So the reason I did this is because, in a lot of, especially Metallica, but just metal music in general, a lot of times the band will cut out and there'll be like just the riff played on one guitar. You're going along, and unfortunately, this is up close to me, so I can't hit it with my foot. But if I'm going along. So when you hit that left side kill, it just cuts out the other one whole side. So it's like, okay, there's James playing the riff before the band kicks in. And then when you hit the left side kill again and turn it back on, it will engage the other side, and you've got two guitars going on again. Thanks, Ken. He said that's a cool idea. So the whole thing, and the whole reasoning behind all this is just to kind of, if you have a 3-piece metal band, or you only have one guitar player and you want a super thick sound live, you could use this and it would solve all your problems. And these left and right amps are dedicated, going hard left and right. So if you're going into, if you go stereo out of your Helix into a board, you're good, man. You've got one side of the room is one guitar and one side is the other guitar. Or if you're using power cabs, you could dedicate one power cab to each side, because you can go stereo out on the Helix. So you can just be as heavy as you can possibly be. And then if you want to take a guitar solo or something, you could just turn that twin simulator off, and you're still going to have everything going on. You're just not, it's just going to sound like one guitar. I don't know if you'd want to do that, but you can certainly do that, and that way. Or you can just have it sounding like two people are playing the same exact solo perfectly together. Let's see. Mike had another comment. I guess I really meant saving me from double tracking 2 separate amp setups, which is 4 takes on each side. Yes, yeah, I know what you mean, man. Yeah, and you're right. I haven't tried to record anything just like this with this so far. If you were going to go into a DAW, you would probably just try to assign one side to a channel and the other side to another channel, like if you're using Cubase or Logic or something like that. That should be possible, rather than just recording the same thing twice and then panning them hard. They're already panned. So yeah, there's... I think there's probably a lot of ways you could experiment with this when it comes to recording. But yeah, it's all in there, man. The only thing it doesn't have is some sort of delay, like ambient type delay for soloing. So I may throw in some kind of delay later that maybe engages when you turn off the twin sim. So if you're going to take a solo, you get that little bit of delay, because I don't know, man. I hate playing guitar without reverb and delay. But then again, most of the time in my old age, I prefer super clean guitar sounds. So I guess the reverb usually compensates for distortion. When you have this much distortion, reverb and delay is almost like a hindrance, And I don't know, when it comes to like clean jazz type tones, I like reverb and maybe some delay, but I don't use a ton of both. I use like a moderate amount of each together, so I get a pretty ambient sound without it being too washed out, because the delay compensates for not having a ton of reverb, and then vice versa. Reverb compensates, kind of keeps that delay from sounding like it's just delaying forever. And that's just something I like to do when I'm using clean guitar sounds. And that, again, that's probably more specific to if I'm playing a jazz style guitar part or something like that. I think in all other forms of music, and in most jazz, most jazz guitar players would probably think that's not a good idea. I don't know, but everything else, I don't think reverb and delay, moderation is very important with that kind of stuff. So anyway, a little bit more, a few more sounds with this guy. Oh, there's also a volume pedal I put on here, so you do have the ability to turn it down with your expression pedal in the preset. weird, man, because when you play lead lines, it just sounds like there's two guys that can play perfectly together. Because it's just the slightest little bit of delay, you know. I think that's really cool. If you had a Variax, you could probably set it up to where one of them was like a bass guitar. Maybe? No, maybe not. I don't know. I can't remember. I need to dig my Variax out and see what I can do with it. But anyway. I wish I had it on the floor so I could do that more accurately, but you know, you get it. Normally you're going to have this Helix on the floor, so you can just kick it with your pedal, and it's freaking awesome, man. Makes me wish I had a gig playing some metal right now, but I don't. All right, man. So go download that. I put the link in the top of the stream here, in the comments here. It should be on Facebook and YouTube. So, yeah, you guys go download that preset and have fun. And I'm just going to do a shameless plug here. I've got a new single coming out in 2 weeks. And it'll be available for streaming on all platforms. So you guys check that out. My name's Tony Camponovo. Thank you. Give me a follow on Instagram. And, yeah, see you guys back in a couple of weeks. Thanks for joining. Stick a fork in me, because I'm done.